I mean, the biggest thing, obviously, was when Scott got injured against Purdue, and it changed the complexion of our team, and he was a key player, obviously. And I think Laz may have started, and it just changed our whole rotation quite a bit. And so that it was a great team, great players. We were so close as a team because of being together with that senior class, Green and Laz and Steve Offeld and John Campstra. Just we were a close group of guys, so that was a tough thing to stumble before we hit the finish line.
Welcome back, everyone, to a special mini-series version of Iconic Seasons. If you haven't listened to the first couple of episodes, we talked about the foundation of Indiana basketball and what we're doing with this series, talking about the BIF timeline and how we're repairing that by embracing the past, talking about it as part of our legacy, but also looking to the future, the things that shaped the legacy of Indiana and how those can support and help the players going forward with our new coach in place. Today, we're diving into what many consider the pinnacle of that era, the undefeated 1975-76 Indiana Hoosiers. This wasn't just a great team, it was a phenomenon, a perfect storm of talent, coaching, and determination. So what exactly made this team so dominant? It wasn't just one thing. It was a combination of factors that all came together at the right time. First and foremost, of course, the talent was exceptional. This team had a mix of experienced seniors and incredibly skilled underclassmen. Players like Scott May, Kent Benson, and Quinn Buckner were not just good, they were exceptional. They played incredibly well together.
Well, we had a great team, there's no doubt. And Coach Knight did a great job of bringing us together. And when you have be able to bring a talented group of individuals together who are willing to use those God-given talents and abilities and put their own personal agendas aside, well, that's why we're able to succeed, because everyone had a role and played that role. And that's, I think, really important for a successful team.
The seniors on this team achieved 4 Big Ten titles, 2 Final Four appearances, plus, of course, that NCAA championship. With a 4-year record of 108-12, just hard to imagine right now. Scott May, despite breaking his arm mid-season, was a force of nature that year, and his return in the NCAA tournament provided the team with a huge lift on that championship run. He had a smooth jump shot that, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to put a clip in here. You've got to go look at it. Just the thing of beauty. Kent Benson was this dominant force inside with incredible post moves and rebounding ability. Just a bruiser, the type of guy that you'd love to have on any team. And then he had the unique opportunity to force the 2 overtime games, making key tip-ins. So remember in the 1979 season, if you haven't listened to that already, there was this half-court heave in New Mexico that kept their undefeated season going. And I think in any undefeated season, there gets to be this pressure, these streaks, where it seems like the other team always brings their best towards the team. And so inevitably there's these close games, and you need a little bit of luck mixed in with all this greatness. Let's talk about Quinn Buckner, too. He was the ultimate point guard with the ability to control the game, make the right plays at the right time. And he was Bob Knight embodied on the court. I know that from reading Season on the Brink and other sources, he was a player that was the epitome of what Bobby Knight wanted in basketball, the way that he played, the way that he understood the game, the way that he embodied what Knight thought the game stood for. He was an incredible piece of this team. And there was Bobby Wilkerson, I think is worth mentioning too. He's a guard on the team, but sometimes would outjump the opposing team's center, just intimidating. There's still something occasionally when you see an athlete that rises so far above the rest of the players that can be intimidating. And certainly at this time, I'm imagining an athlete of his caliber would have stood out maybe even more than it would in today's day and age. I think, too, you could highlight Tom Abernathy, who is on the All Final Four team. I mentioned Wilkerson, John Laskowski, Jim Cruz. And as I start to just name names, I think that you get the idea that this team was more than just one player, two players, a starting five. It was a collective of players that played together that fostered a team that became this undefeated phenomenon. The team's chemistry and commitment to Knight's system were critical as well. They played with this level of discipline and cohesiveness that was truly remarkable. They were prepared for every game. They knew their opponent's tendencies and executed game plans flawlessly.
You know, when it first happened, I wasn't so sure how injured he was. I mean, as many games as Bobby and I, we have all played so many games of basketball, and guys, get bumped and, without getting to see exactly how it happened or the exact force that hit Bobby, I wasn't so sure that he wasn't going to just get up and get playing again. So my initial thought was, well, that was a tough foul, and let's get him going, and not even think anything about it. And then after minutes upon minutes went by, we could see it was, a serious situation. And so I think my main concern was then for him, and that he was going to be okay. I honestly didn't have a fear that, oh my goodness, now we might lose the final game because, one of our star players is out. I guess I had confidence basketball-wise that by that point of the season we could overcome about anything. And Coach Knight was great all year long in keeping us focused on what had to be done, play by play, and not sort of worrying about what's going to happen way down the road, like the next 10 minutes or whatever. It's, okay, right now we've got to refocus and just play the way we can play. We were down by about 5 points or 4 points or something at halftime. If I was a fan, I would have been freaked out, thinking, oh my gosh, maybe it was like 34 to 29 or something, 4 or 5 point game. And all of a sudden, one half remains from us remaining undefeated and win the national championship. Then we came out, and I think defensively is where we turned the game around and made some good runs. And before we knew it, we had control of the game down the stretch.
They didn't have a lot of emotion, which is maybe an interesting approach in this day and age. I feel like now sometimes players play with too much emotion. You can get the player who doesn't show emotion and people will call that out. But I think there is a reason to balance it out a little bit more, to regulate yourself in the moment, to not be quite as performative with your emotions on the court, because it can subtly undermine you or fall into that back and forth that you get with the fans when you become overly emotional. Some of the sources, when I was looking back through this, also talked about, again, re-emphasize the point that if one or two players weren't playing well, there's a next man up mentality that's become such a cliche to say, that they could step up and carry the team. But you need that. If you have a team that's going to achieve true greatness, you have to have players who believe in themselves, who aren't playing all the time, but think they should be there. And that's a real mentality that the coach has to foster, because you can say it all that you want, but if it's not there, you can see it immediately when the guy comes in. He doesn't understand how to fit into the role. There's the guy that comes in and wants to do things and prove he's out, should be out there, but that's different from the guy that is the next man up, stepping into a role, playing the part that is necessary of him, understanding the way he fits with the rest of his teammates. That's just another level of coaching and another level of understanding from teammates. The impact of the 1976 team on fans and the community was profound. They weren't just a basketball team. They're a symbol of excellence for the entire state of Indiana. The games were packed and the atmosphere was electric. There was a quote from one fan that described the atmosphere during pregame as the pep band played Mighty Quinn, with everyone in Assembly Hall standing, clapping, and swaying. The level of passion and energy wasn't just confined to the arena. It spilled out into the streets and homes of Indiana. I found some mentions in newspaper articles that the 1974-75 season, McDonald's restaurants in Bloomington would provide a free hamburger and french fries to anyone with a ticket stub if the Hoosiers held their opponents under 70 points, showing the community's engagement and how it intertwined with the team was with the identity of the state. It's funny, even to this day, you wonder if that's an origin for some of the things this year. We're cheering for the fruit fries or whatever, the Finney fries when an opposing player misses 2 free throws. Just a fun way to get involved. Fans would also wear buttons saying Indiana #1 to show their support, and the team's perfect season brought a sense of unity and pride to Indiana. And the community came together to celebrate this historic season.
Jimmy Cruz dives. He flies. He hits. Jimmy Cruz was through. And now Cruz out of the game, and Bobby Bender comes in. And Jimmy Cruz with a standing ovation. And all the rest of the players come up and hug Jimmy. Oh, I tell you, the Indiana team played it all. Hang out now, Don. 10 seconds. Baxter almost lost it. Here's Benson on the dribble. Baxter down the right side. Lost the ball down the bench of the field. Bradford on a break. 5 seconds to go. Drive. Shoots it up. And Benson. There's the Hayborn scores the gun. Indiana's #1. They've won it. Indiana's won it. They're the national champions for 1976. Can you believe it? Incredible. Bobby Knight and Johnny Orr standing here in front of us, shaking hands. Bill Frieder now. Unbelievable. As Indiana's won the national championship. And the Hoosiers have won it all. 86-68. Haymore hits the bucket of the gun. The Hoosiers out of the floor. And Max, what a tremendous fight this is. Well, Don, this is just such a great thing for Indiana, for the people who have known Indiana's fans, to know the absolute disappointment last year, the heartbreak, knowing that they were going without their ace player, and they get so far and couldn't quite get it over. But this year they had it all the way, only to have that stunning blow of Bobby Wilkerson getting hurt. It took them a little while to regroup, but they got the job done, and they really got it going away. 86-68. Bobby Knight has got him a championship. The Hoosiers have got their third in history, and it's just a great evening for Indiana fans, believe me. Incredible performance. Indiana, the #1 team in the country.
The enduring legacy of the 1976 team is multifaceted. First, they're the last undefeated team in Division I men's college basketball. Always fun to say. This achievement is a testament to their dominance, makes them a benchmark for all other teams to measure themselves against. If you look through any of the articles of the time, that 108-12 record over a 4-year span, that might be as hard to beat as the undefeated season. They also represent the pinnacle of Knight's coaching philosophy. They were the ultimate embodiment of his emphasis on defense, discipline, and team. And their story continues to inspire, and that's what I enjoy about this. The 76 team showed that what could be accomplished through hard work, dedication, and the belief in each other. And I think that last part still resonates to this day. I think that the belief in each other is something that whatever new team we put together on the fly, I hope that the coach, and I heard some of that in his initial press conference, talks about how they fit together and their belief in each other to create a good team, not just a talented team. You need talent, but you need that belief in each other, that understanding or that desire to understand each other. This team's impact was so significant that it has completely transcended generations, from the people who actually experienced it all the way up through me and beyond, influencing how the Indiana program is viewed, how fans view Indiana basketball. The 81 team and others were great, the 87 team, but that 76 team was special. It's not only that they went undefeated, but how they won, the poise that they carried themselves with, the teamwork dominating the opposition. They showed that individual stars that come together to form a greater team is as much a part of the coach's strategy and legacy as anything. The team also showed their ability not to dwell on the pressure of being undefeated. They were focused on winning each game. The team knew they were a target and they would bring the best out of their opponents, but they were also a symbol of excellence, not only for the program, but for the entire state of Indiana. The team's success was a source of pride for all who considered themselves a part of the Hoosier family. That's all we have for today's episode. If you haven't listened to Iconic Seasons 1987, I highly encourage you to take that deep dive. But if you want just a quick overview of it, we'll give you that here, and you can get caught up on the rest of those podcasts later. Thanks for tuning in to Iconic Season, and as always,
keep your dribble low and your eyes up.
up.